What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Dense Pixels podcast. I'm your host, Brad, joined by my co-host, Micah.
Hey.
And Carrie.
What's up?
Micah, you are back. It's been a couple of weeks. I'm sure you've been playing some video games. I'd love to hear about what you've been doing.
I've been playing 2 video games. Would you like to hear about Final Fantasy Rebirth or Rise of the Ronin?
I'd like to hear about Final Fantasy Rebirth first, without spoilers, of course, because Carrie has just started Final Fantasy VII Remake. But I'm curious
about Final Fantasy Remake, right?
I mean, I've played like 2 hours of it. I was going to talk about it later in the show.
All right.
I know. So here's what I know about Final Fantasy VII in general. I know that Cloud has spiky hair and a big sword. I know that Sephiroth is gay, and I know that the game starts in Midgar and ends with killing God. In between that, I don't really know what happens. That being said, the story's been out for 25 fucking years, so like I don't really care about spoilers at this point.
Well, you know, there are a couple things that are different, but in Rebirth, I haven't finished it yet. Just
I know there's a lot of Zack Fair in Rebirth.
There's more Zack in Rebirth, which is great because Zack is great. But so Rebirth is it kind of it's good. If you really like Final Fantasy VII, you're gonna love it. And if you don't really particularly care for it, just don't play it because you're not gonna like it, right? And I haven't finished it. I got to a point where it was just like, I'm so tired of this. I mean, it's fun to play, but it got to a point where I was just like, I'm really tired of it. And it's the exact same point that I got to in the original Final Fantasy VII, where I'm just like, I don't really feel like playing this. And it's as soon as you get to Cosmo Canyon. Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, I hate Cosmo Canyon. And
but the music's so good.
That's the only thing about it. It's literally the only thing about it. And look, I wouldn't put it past me not liking Cosmo Canyon because it centers around the dog. Okay, I know what I am. But there's just something about that area that is just, I just do not care for it. And I don't, and the thing with this game is that it's you know how people say the books are better than the movies because the books have time to flesh out, characters and world, and in a movie, you kind of got to go, right? You kind of got to go. This is the opposite, right? Feeling. The game stretches and stretches and stretches. You spend like 2-3 hours in Cosmo Canyon and like doing all of this ancillary stuff and going on just stuff that I don't remember, right? And you got to go with Red 13 on a essentially a spirit quest. And
you did that in the original game, but it didn't take very long. Is the thing.
This was long, dude, and everything like it's much closer to the original story, at least from what I played. I haven't finished it. I'm at like chapter 11. But from what I can remember of the original story, it does hit beat for beat those same elements, just really stretched out, and to the point where like for me there's a pacing issue. I put a lot of time into that game, and it just got to the point where it's like, all right, man, I need a break. But combat is fun. If you like that, if you dig that combat, that like modified Kingdom Hearts style combat, right? This action menu driven combat. It's great. And the materia system is still excellent, right? Like all of the things that are great about Final Fantasy VII are amplified in this, and all of the things that are not so great are amplified by this. And it's weird. This is for Final Fantasy diehards, man. And I like that game, but I'm not like a commit this game to memory, right? I don't feel about this game the way I feel about Mass Effect. You know what I mean?
Sounds to me that if Final Fantasy VII was your Citizen Kane, this is probably very appealing to you.
Oh, absolutely. Like,
let me tell you
these characters.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
I have no intention of playing this game. Like I played Remake for about 5 or 6 hours. I got 4 chapters in. I bounced off really hard. Not playing this game. I did read ahead and read the spoilers about the ending. I cannot wait to hear Micah's take when he completes this game and experiences the ending. I literally am on pins and needles waiting for Micah's take on the ending. Carrie, I mean, it only makes sense for you to talk about your very brief experience with FF7 Remake here.
Yeah. I finished Persona 3 Reload. It was great. I was comedically overleveled for the final boss, to the point where it's like, so the final boss in Persona 3 has like it's a big multi-stage JRPG fight, right? Where each stage is based on a different major arcana of your typical tarot deck. And they're meant to last like a couple turns each. And I was maybe clearing each one in like half a full turn. So that was kind of funny until like the final one, which is like the death arcana, and that takes a little bit longer. But even then, it was just, it's meant to be a big scary boss, and I just obliterated it. And I was like, I maybe spent a little too much time in Tartarus.
that reminds me of when my wife beat Final Fantasy VII for the first time, and she was so comically overleveled that she did not even do the mechanics correctly in the Sephiroth fights. She just brute forced it and still won just by simply brute forcing it.
So I gave myself like 3 or 4 days off from thinking about high level lengthy JRPGs, and then because I had a long weekend, I picked up Remake on like Friday. And I'm only at chapter 3. I've basically just gotten to the slums for the first time. So I basically just sort of played through the opening sequence, but I like it. Again, you know, my familiarity with FF7 is primarily informed by like general pop culture knowledge of FF7, being generally pretty into the music, because I do think it has a ripper of a soundtrack, and I think the remake revisions of the classic Uematsu tracks are all very good. And ultimately just like seeing it played by friends at their houses. So it's like I experienced varying chunks of the game, mostly like the back probably 25% of that game, like several times at different friends' houses. But it's not a game I played a lot myself. So for me, it was fun to do the, you know, your bombing mission, right? The intro to the game. I think it opens really strong. I had distinct like war flashbacks to being in the KB Toys at Owings Mills Mall in probably 1997, playing the demo of the original game. And I'm probably like 7 or 8 years old, and I just remember the timer coming up on screen and like immediately feeling very anxious. Didn't feel quite as anxious as an adult. But yeah, I mean, I look forward to playing through it. I had told myself I wasn't going to bother with Remake until the second one, and this planned trilogy came out, and then that came out. So I'm holding myself accountable and actually playing through Remake.
What is your opinion on the voices?
I like them. I think it's like, as far as JRPG voice acting is concerned, I think it's pretty strong.
I think some of them, I feel like they really they take some getting used to for me.
Okay.
And maybe it's because I don't like mousy girls.
That's fair.
Like I don't like, and oh hey, like they, you know, Tifa and Aerith. I love Tifa, right? Like Tifa is one of my favorite Final Fantasy characters, period, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it took me a while to get used to her voice, but I did get used to it. And Aerith has, like, I imagine Aerith does have a mousy voice. I just don't like it. And there's something, I don't know, there's something about it that rubs me the wrong way. Sid's voice, I mean, that was not what I was expecting, but also I was expecting like Dennis Leary. So,
he doesn't sound like a chain smoker, like a chronic chain smoker.
Doesn't he have like an Australian accent?
No, he doesn't, Brad. It sounds like this. Like, what the fuck?
So he's White Barrett, basically? Like, is that essentially what he is?
White Barrett.
He's Republican Barrett.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like right-wing Barrett. And Barrett, Barrett kind of has the voice that I imagine. One thing that I did that I really liked in the original, I like Barrett's story, and in this and in Rebirth, they tell that story, and it's just as heartbreaking, but more so because like you see people actually acting it out. You're not just reading it on screen. I really did enjoy it. There's a lot to like about the game, but like I'm not like creaming my pants over it because like I didn't cream my pants over Final Fantasy VII, right? Like
Yeah.
this game is not bad at all, but but it's not perfect, right? Like it'll probably win RPG of the year.
I don't know. There's some tight competition this
man.
year for that.
Yeah.
I'd be fine.
I mean, I think it's got really tough competition from Persona 3 Reload, honestly.
I mean, and Like a Dragon, like everyone was going to
that too, yeah.
for that. So we shall see. Micah, that's not the only, that's not the I've checked out a media property recently as well that was stretched out needlessly long beyond its runtime. So look forward to Dead Pixels Premium for that if you're not a member. Micah knows what I'm talking about. And
the entity.
Yes, the entity. Deadpixels.com/premium. $5 a month or $50 for an entire year if you're not subscribed to Premium.
But yeah, just long story short, my first impressions of Remake art. This is fun. I like the battle system. I think it's pretty snappy. I feel like it's a game I can probably get through, but I'm definitely hesitant to go right into Rebirth afterwards, just because I'm hearing a lot of polarizing opinions on it. A lot of people whose taste I trust, and a lot of people who I know are big Final Fantasy fans are like, Rebirth is really bloated, and it didn't need to be everything that it is. So we'll see. But I'm gonna play Remake, and I'm gonna have a good time with it, I think.
Speaking of polarizing opinions, Micah, I've heard a lot of polarizing opinions on Rise of the Ronin.
Yeah, Rise of the Ronin feels like, one step forward, two steps back. It's the game design, like it's an open world action adventure game with all of the like, but it doesn't improve on the product or the genre in any way, shape, or form. It's a big world with a bunch of stuff that you can do, right? But it's not. It feels like an Assassin's Creed game, right? In that, you go to certain points and you liberate areas and but it's solid. The combat is not difficult, but it is challenging enough that it's not mindless, right? Like you have a stamina meter, and every action you do reduces that meter. If you gas yourself out, you're stuck there, and you can get a free hit, or you could be attacked. It has a blocking system and a parry system, and your first instinct is to parry, but parry windows are incredibly tight, and you get really punished if you don't hit that parry. But if you do hit that parry, you will reduce the enemy's stamina depending on your fighting style, right? Like you can switch styles on the fly with a variety of different weapons. And this game is this game is needlessly complicated. It has fun combat, but it has combat that is like you're using every button on the controller, right? It's not intuitive. You see like combat can consist of me attacking with square, but also I have to switch styles with by holding the right by holding R1 and moving the left stick. At the same time, I'm trying to dodge enemies with the circle button, and if I have the chance, grapple them with the R2 button, or I can circle and then dodge with a ranged weapon, but I have to do that with the L2 button while blocking with the L1 button. There's a lot of things that are going on in every single encounter. And it's fine, right? Just don't go in there looking for like some mindless like beat 'em up. Like the combat is the best thing about the game. It sits there and you have to kind of think through every battle. You can't just mash your way through stuff. But all of the other trappings of an open world, you gotta save a bunch of cats which are basically collectibles, right? And you have to do like missions for people. It's fine, but it doesn't innovate. And I was reading previews of this before it came out, and people were just going crazy over it. And the game is solid. It's like a 3 out of 5, right? Like it's a solid game that you should probably pick up if you like this type of stuff. When it's like, how much is that game? How much is the game? $70? So $50, I guess, maybe. It's got flaws, but for me, a person that enjoys open world games, I do like it, and I do appreciate the fact that it's kind of like Sekiro, only not as punishing. And I wanted to like Sekiro. I'm just not good. I'm just bad. But also, the story doesn't really make sense to me. You are a Ronin, right? So you are kind of neutral, but there's a pro shogunate and an anti-shogunate side, right? And this takes place in 1800s Japan, where the shogun is trying to open up the borders to allow Westerners in because the shogunate feels like, oh yeah, we can bring these people in, we can use their technology and all that. And the anti-shogunate are like, yo, who are these foreigners trying to take over and destroy our culture, right? Like we can't let these people do this. But you accept missions from both pro and anti-shogunate, and to the point where I accepted a mission because I had to accept this mission in order to progress through the story. I accepted a mission from an anti-shogunate person. Oh, hey, you're my friend now. But I have to accept a mission from a pro-shogunate person, a person that I attacked in the prologue of the story. And he's just like, oh, yeah, that's you got to do what you got to do. Water under the bridge. Yo, I tried to kill you, bro. Like, and you're just cool with it? All right, I guess I'll do this mission. And then this mission takes me to a point where I have to team up with other foreigners to fight the person that I fought on the anti-shogunate side. And I fight that person, and then that person is like, all right, enough. I don't know if I could trust you, but you go to that person because like he's the next stop on the mission that you have to do. He's like, I don't know if I can trust you. Let me give you another mission to prove your loyalty. Like, yo, what? Like, this doesn't make sense, yo. Like, I tried to kill you, and you just like giving me missions and shit. Like, it doesn't make sense. So that's kind of like I'm playing it just to do stuff at this point because the story is just kind of bonkers. And not in a Final Fantasy kind of way. You know what I mean? Like the story is just bonkers in that, like, yo, why is everybody being so nice to me? Like, I've shown that I have absolutely no loyalty. You should be doing everything in your power. This should unite the anti-shogunate and pro-shogunate people and kill me.
Maybe,
'Cause what the
maybe,
fuck?
maybe that's the secret ending: is that you're secretly turning everyone against you by attacking every quest giver
Right.
that you have in the game. So,
But I can say I can make a black samurai, which is dope. I can make it has a very robust character creator that you can create two people because it's you and your blade twin. You don't have a name, and yeah, I made a black samurai, and it's just weird seeing this black samurai roll around in 1800s Japan, just double crossing everybody. Like, no wonder they don't trust us.
pretty fortuitous timing for this game to come out, right? Right as the FX show is having a moment as well that I've heard is
Yeah,
really good.
I really like that show. I really like it a lot, and I tried to tell my wife, who loves watching television, especially she always wants to find stuff to watch together. I said, "Man, you should check out Shogun." And then she saw that like 75% of it is in Japanese, and it's like, oh well, I'm not reading it. I didn't tell her about the dub, right? Because they have a dub for people who don't want to read. But no, no, this will be for me.
All right. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be back with the news. So it's a light week in the news this week. Phil Spencer making some news. He had a big interview that a lot of people gravitated towards, where he talked about why he thought we're seeing a lot of layoffs and things like that around the industry. He didn't mention corporate greed in any of that, so I decided not to cover that story and instead cover a far more interesting story where he talked about how he wants other digital storefronts like the Epic Game Store or itch.io on Xbox consoles in the future. He made the point that, consider that, we're the Windows company. If, we put something like this on Windows, nobody would even question it because PC, you're accustomed to being able to have that level of choice out there. And he said that the current model of selling consoles at a loss and then regaining money through game royalties is less effective because you're not seeing the hardware component pricing dropping at the same rate that it used to, where they could cut the price on consoles and recoup more money from them. And the console market itself isn't actually growing right now. So he's like, oh, there's, we have to find other avenues to find money, find revenue to generate on the consoles. Curious what you guys think about this. I think this is a very easy thing to take a shot on when you were losing. I think that if they had a winning hand, this would not even be a consideration. But I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts on if you think that this is inevitably where the future is headed with consoles, to be more PC-ified, as it were.
I mean, it makes sense for Microsoft. I don't know that it necessarily makes sense for Nintendo or Sony, in so much that Nintendo and Sony have the first party games and they don't really need that sort of thing. I think you're going to see, the Xbox become more PC-ified because it's owned by a company that makes PC stuff.
Isn't that the point? Isn't this the point of having a console though? Like, why are we putting storefronts on a console that has a storefront, by the way? like the whole point of consoles was, I thought I thought that's why companies make games for console and port to PC or vice versa. I mean, I don't understand. You have the same problem, right? Like, if you have this Xbox, what are you gonna boot up the Epic Game Store to play a game? I mean, look, I get it. I get the idea of having the Xbox be more like a PC, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe give some of these other companies more share in the revenue, so that because that's why these people launch their own launchers, right? Is so they can get revenue, a little more directly instead of having to pay like Apple or whomever 30%, which is ridiculous,
Yeah.
To put the game on their platform. Like if you want the Xbox to be a little more open, I mean that's fine. But like you said, unless it's gonna be open to unless these other like Nintendo and Sony are gonna start putting stuff on their console, I don't see what the point is.
Yeah. If anything, I think you exacerbate the issue because again, the more like a PC you make your console, the more you're telling people you don't need to buy this because you can just buy a PC and kind of get the same experience.
Yeah.
I almost think Microsoft would be in a better position to almost like realize what the Steam machine originally set out to do but ultimately failed at, of making essentially a PC console that has almost like a console-esque interface but gives you the benefits of being able to play on PC, and has the hardware of a higher end PC but packaging it in a more affordable package than a higher end PC would cost. I almost feel like that's what they need to do to differentiate themselves in the marketplace. But again, at that point, you're still relying on software sales to kind of support you, and Game Pass is still kind of the way that they're trying to drive their business. And I feel like we've seen Game Pass kind of treading water, and obviously like Game Pass was really valuable when Microsoft was putting out games on it that were exclusive to Xbox. It's not as valuable now because those games either aren't very good or they're too sparse away from each other. And that's why the value of Game Pass is going down, because they're not supporting it with enough first party titles to really see the value there. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels like they're kind of grasping at straws a little bit right now. I feel like they're in a position where they don't really know what to do. I think that I think the Xbox One damaged them really badly, and they're kind of in a position where they didn't really understand how to get themselves out. And also the market is in such a place that it's very difficult for them to get themselves out. So strange times, and how funny the pendulum swings in this industry, because just not very long ago we kept hyping up Game Pass as this amazing deal, and it's I think its benefit kind of has eroded over the past several months or so.
Yeah.
Starfield was a major turning point. I feel like in the fortunes of Game Pass. So this is an interesting story, I think. So warmongering country looks to develop its own video game platform because everyone else isn't doing business with them anymore. So a lot of businesses have pulled out of doing business with Russia as a form of protest or punishment for them instigating their war against Ukraine, which has now been going on for a couple of years. And this obviously cuts them off not only financially from a variety of different things. Gaming is one of those. And we've also seen a mass exodus of game companies that did business in Russia from a development side as well, leave the country also. So what do you do when everyone doesn't want to do business with you? Well, Vladimir Putin has reportedly issued an order last week where he wants the government to, quote, waive requirements for organizing production of both stationary and portable game consoles in Russia, setting a deadline for the order for a couple months from now. So basically, Russia's going to create like the worst version of a game console. Probably integrate themselves with the Chinese marketplace, and just have a really poor gaming experience for Russian citizens.
Well, I look forward to seeing the garbage they inevitably come up with.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Uh, don't be isolationist, and don't be dicks. Like I don't.
But how am I supposed to annex Ukraine if I'm not an asshole, Micah? Have you thought about that?
The only thing I've been thinking about for the past couple of weeks is to get your politics out of my video games.
Well, can't argue with
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I am very curious to see what this is gonna look like. Right, like I'm very curious to see what the what was that? What was that Russian Itchy and Scratchy cartoon?
I don't remember what it was called, but I remember exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
cut
like
cut to Krusty the Clown fucking with a cigar again. What the hell was that? That's literally gonna be the reaction that we have to this. And it's funny because in a Russian newspaper, which by the way, in Russia, all of the newspapers are state owned, so they're basically just spreading propaganda. Basically, according to the company that is going to be tasked with doing this, the newspaper says, quote, "There's no competence to produce their own PlayStation, Xbox consoles, and creating such a system from scratch will take up to 10 years. So, that doesn't sound good.
I can't wait for them to come out with a PlayStation 3 equivalent in the year of our Lord.
PlayStation 3?
Yeah.
PlayStation 2. Come on.
Worker and Parasite.
That's right.
Worker and Parasite.
They bite and bite and bite.
Oh God.
Oh, good shit.
Yeah, so I guess the PlayStation would be like the workstation, right? Like just no. You and you need to. I don't even know what they do over there. It just no. This is gonna
drink vodka. Like
yeah, this is gonna be amazing. This is gonna be amazing. I can't wait for this thing to come out so we can just take a dump all over it.
I can't wait for Tommy Tallarico to somehow be involved in the development of it.
Oh, his mom will be so proud.
He had to sell his house.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he had to sell that god awful house that he faked an episode.
The one I'm gonna say the one that was on Not Cribs.
Yeah, that one.
Again, we've said it before, and we'll say it again. If you have not watched that H-Bomber guy video about the origin of the oof sound from Roblox, do yourself a favor. It is amazing. So as Embrace returns, they are in full fire sale mode right now, and it seems like they have stabilized the ship, and they've done that. We talked last week, I think it was, about them selling off a bunch of studios in the Saber Entertainment conglomerate. Well, they have finally offloaded Gearbox from the Embracer Group. Guess who's buying it? It's none other than Take-Two Interactive for $460 million. I will remind you that the Embracer Group purchased Gearbox less than 3 years ago for about $1.2 billion. So not a fantastic return on investment. Good job, Embracer Group. Basically, Take-Two is acquiring Gearbox, I would imagine, because they want to make sure that they can hang on to the Borderlands franchise, which, and Gearbox did confirm they are working on Borderlands 4. It's in active development right now, so we have that to look forward to. And look, if you're Gearbox, if you're going to end up at a big company, I suppose it's best to end up, A, the big company that you have a working relationship with, and B, the only major publisher that seems immune from major layoffs and other bullshit in the industry because they're actually investing wisely and not just throwing money out the window. Plus, they also have a shitload of money coming in thanks to Grand Theft Auto 5. So,
what does the Embracer Group do?
Well, acquire properties and lose money is what they're really good at.
Acquire those properties.
Yes.
Yeah, like they seem like the Galactus of fucking video game companies.
It's funny you say that because their CEO is quite famously like a dude who collects like the rarest collectibles, basically, that you can find in like gaming and stuff like that. So he is exactly what you are describing, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Just to to reiterate as far as what the hell Embracer Group is, it's a Swedish company that currently owns 10 different operative groups. Amplifier, Game Invest, Asmodee, CDE Entertainment, Coffee Stain, Dark Horse Media, Deca Games, Easy Brain, Free Mode, Plyon, and THQ Nordic, because THQ simply will not fucking die, man. Like, every time you think THQ is going to be down and out for good, no, they get reacquired. Yeah, basically what had happened was these guys spent a lot of money. They went public in 2016. They basically spent a ton of fucking money growing the company, which again is basically just like, it's a holding company. It's a media holding company. And then a $2 billion investment fell through like last summer.
Yep.
And then they were like, fuck, we owe $2 billion. We gotta sell a lot of shit now.
Yeah. Well,
so
to follow up with that, so according to CEO Lars Wingefors, the restructuring that resulted in over 1,300 jobs being lost from the company, and the sale of many game studios is complete. They have stabilized the ship according to him. And then on an investor call, some fucking idiot investor asked if Embracer was now ready to start acquiring studios again. To which Lars Wingeford said, to his credit, it's too early to say that we're ready. We're ready to do that.
Imagine like how shitty this dude
first,
right, exactly. Imagine how shitty this dude would look if they fucking laid off 1,300 people, canceled 30 games that were in development, and then we're like, you know what? We're ready to start acquiring.
So open the pocketbooks up again, guys. We're open for business.
At least this dude has enough sense to be like, no, we're not gonna do that. I still think Embracer Group is by and large full of shit. And I think they have been a plague on the industry, given how many things they acquired and then got rid of. Like, they acquired and then got rid of Square Enix Montreal, Gearbox, Saber Interactive, Free Radical Design, Volition. Yeah, lot of shit. So it's just like, I don't know. Fucking Embracer Group.
Let me tell you, if you are a game studio, unless you're in just the most financially dire circumstances that you can possibly be, and you literally have your backs against the wall between closure or accepting an acquisition, and the Embracer Group comes along, just run away, like absolutely fucking not. Get the fuck out of here, because who the hell knows if you're going to have a game studio in 6 months if you get in bed with them. So,
yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the Embracer Group is the poster child for irresponsible pandemic spending in the games industry, and that's, like they are the ones. They are the ones, and they have caused a lot of strife and a lot of grief. And of course, Lars Wingefors goes absolutely nowhere. He still gets to sit on like the dude that was in charge of making of pursuing the strategy. Gets to keep his seat and keep his job, and
yep.
It sucks here, guys. It fucking sucks. Speaking of sucks, before we get to another break, this week in layoffs, Sega have cut 240 jobs in Europe at Creative Assembly and Sega Europe, and they have also sold Relic, who is the maker of the Company of Heroes series, among other
Age of Empires.
Yep, and those games as well. So, major bummer. Sega not doing very well right now, because aside from the games that Atlas is putting out, they're not doing great sales with their other properties. Notably, the most recent Sonic game was kind of a flop. Maybe don't release it within a couple days of a new Mario game, and that would perhaps have bolstered your sales a little bit.
Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth has also carried Sega a little bit as well. So you do gotta keep that in mind. I'm glad that the Yakuza series seems to be doing as well in the mainstream as it is these days. But yeah, Sega's had some big wins lately, and they've also had some big losses. So.
And also Certain Affinity, which is a Halo and Call of Duty support studio, they have also laid off about 25 employees, which is about 10% of its workforce, citing changes in the industry for being the reason that's happening. So
yeah, they did mention that most of those are coming on like the business development end of things. So you have to imagine that these are like your marketing and your administration sort of folks rather than folks on the development team. Still sucks. But given how many dev teams are being cut severely, I guess if you can have a silver lining in the games industry these days, I guess that's it right now is like, well, if devs and quality control people are keeping their jobs, I guess that's good, but it sucks.
It does. It does, even though we've seen the bloodletting slow down a little bit. It has not stopped yet completely.
Yeah.
So let's take another break, and then we will be back with the post office. densepixels.com/fans is the website that you can go to join our Discord, where you can ask us questions in the Dense Pixels post office every week, just like Chris did when he says recommendations on 3DS games. I got my son a 2DS, and I want to get games as well. I'm down for whatever.
All right. There's a lot. The DS and the 3DS libraries are both extensive. So
let's go with 5. Let's go with 5. Your top
5.
Your top 5. Recs.
Well, let's go. Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds. I think probably the single most underrated Zelda title out there. It was really good, and no one really talks about it. Shin Megami Tensei 4 and then 4 Apocalypse are both very good JRPGs. What else? The Pokemon titles, those are good. So that would be X and Y, and then God, there were a bunch on the 3DS.
Sun and Moon came out on
that. Yeah, Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and then you had your Gen 3 remakes also on 3DS. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Yeah, those are good. The Monster Hunter games are good on the DS. That being said, Monster Hunter games I think are best played in multiplayer, and I don't know how much of a community is still playing the 3DS games.
I think 4 Ultimate still has a well, no, because the servers are down now, right?
Yeah, I don't think those servers are even around anymore.
Like the 3DS servers are down completely.
I would say Monster Hunter Stories, but they're literally about to put a remake of that game out on Switch and PC, so maybe wait for that.
I mean, Smash on 3DS is perfectly good.
Sure, Smash is good. Mario
Metroid
Kart
Samus Returns. Good. Yeah, Mario Kart 3DS arguably is like
one of the better ones.
Yeah, one of the better ones in the series.
Super Mario 3D Land I thought was a lot of fun. Didn't get, I think, as much credit as it was deserved when compared to 3D World, but 3D Land is also really fun.
Yep. All right.
Fire Emblem Awakening is the last decent Fire Emblem game as far as I'm concerned.
Wow, you're going to piss off a lot of Three Houses.
I am, and you know what? Every person who thinks Three Houses is good can suck my dick. I don't think Fire Emblem has been a good series after Awakening. I think I've talked about this on the show before. I think the dev team learned all the wrong lessons from the success of Awakening, and they decided to make the game a little too date sim-y, and they leaned really hard into the anime bullshit. Look, I am a lover of anime bullshit. You can see all my anime bullshit literally behind me in this room right now if you're watching this on YouTube. I am a big time supporter of anime bullshit. I don't think I don't think it's good in Fire Emblem. I think Fire Emblem is worse off for having leaned into the anime bullshit. That being said, Fire Emblem Awakening is really good and is the last good Fire Emblem as far as I'm concerned.
Film Wanderer says, non-Capcom fighting fan here. Micah, why the hell is Street Fighter VI so good? I've only played a handful of World Tour and a couple of characters, but it's so friendly to non-Street Fighter fans like myself in a way that has given me newfound appreciation for the franchise. I even own Street Fighter 4, and I plan on playing it later this year. But again, why is this game as superb as it is?
Like you said, it kind of is trying to do what all franchises need to do in order to survive, gain new fans. I know, especially in the fighting game community, like everybody wants everything to be super fucking difficult, and you know, if you play on pad, you're a baby, and you got to play on stick, and you got to do pretzel motions for every fucking thing. No, man, like that's how a franchise kind of stagnates and dies. You got to get an influx of new people to try and hook them, and then develop them into people who are hardcore, like, into this stuff, right? Like, I know people who still can't do Z motions, which is a dragon punch motion, and but if you also, like, the fighting game community is very, like, this is why you need a good single player mode, because the fighting game community is tough, right? Like, you get jumped in to this gang, and if you can take it, if you don't mind losing and getting shit talked and shit, then you're in. But some people aren't used to that, right? Like some people aren't. Look, I'm not used to it. You know what I mean? I don't like getting shit talked. I don't like losing either. You know what I mean? That's why I don't talk to people online when I do it. But yeah, Street Fighter has tried to grab the casual audience. And unfortunately, when you grab the casual audience, they're like, "Hey, we got you here. How about you pay $15 for Leonardo?"
He turn you over and shake that loose change out of your pockets.
Right. And you don't know no better, right? You don't know any better. $15. Is this how much this stuff costs? Oh well, I guess I'll pay it, right? Like you don't know any better. Don't buy $15 costumes. That's ridiculous. Yeah. But yeah, this whole, like, the big three have recently come out, and the big three are all trying to do the same thing. They're all trying to gain new fans. I mean, you have the sixth mainline iteration of a franchise in Street Fighter. You have the 12th mainline franchise iteration of Mortal Kombat, and the 8th one for Tekken. Like, when people start seeing big numbers like that, like, they're like, "Oh well, I don't know. I'm not even gonna try."
That's why Mortal Kombat decided to go with Mortal Kombat 1 as the rebrand.
Right. So yeah, they're all trying to, like, be a little more friendlier. They're all trying to make the barrier of execution lower, because fighting games, it's a balance, right? Like, you got to be able to execute, but it's all about, like, it's all about mind games and mental stack and reading your opponent and knowing matchups and stuff like that. If you can do that, but you just can't do a Z motion, like, that's no fun, right? On the other side, like me, I can do all that shit. I can do, I can do 360 motions. Spoiler alert, they're not actually 360 motions. They're more like 270s. But I can do 360 motions and pretzel motions and shit. But I have a difficult time reading my opponent sometimes. And I get frustrated easily. And that's where that's my downfall. That's the thing that I have to work on. You know what I mean? So fighting games are fun, man. They really are. Like, I know I say this shit, like, I'm a cheerleader for this stuff, but, like, it's the one genre video game where you can know nothing about it and follow it. You know what I mean? So yeah, play more fighting games.
Casa says, any suggestions for games, even old ones, with class systems that allow you to cross-pollinate skills between characters? For context, my honorable mentions are Nobody Saves the World and Baldur's Gate 3, but my favorite of this genre is Final Fantasy Tactics. So, obviously, this is going to be mostly an RPG-based area. FF5 and 6 specifically are really good at this. 5 has the best job system of the older games, and 6 doesn't have a job system, but the way that you can learn magic with characters kind of works like one, essentially. So,
you know what else is really good on the Final Fantasy front? Final Fantasy X-2.
I was going to bring that up too. 10-2's got one of the better job systems.
It's really good, man. It's really good. I've really enjoyed that game a lot.
It's silly, but it's a good time. I feel like people shat on it a lot when it came out. But...
Well, you know, girls. Girls.
Also in the Final Fantasy family, I gotta shout out Stranger of Paradise, which also has a really good job system.
It does. That really does. Ridiculous. That game is fucking ridiculous, man. It's super silly, but it's silly. Look, I played the hell out of that game, man. I really did.
Killer job system that lets you cross-pollinate those skills like that. Also, I guess sort of in the same development family, Octopath Traveler lets you do this.
Yeah, especially once you start finding the shrines and you can unlock the classes, and plus they also have the like the super jobs that you can find as well, which is fun.
And then I unfortunately must mention Bravely Default, which is not a good game, but does have a job system that lets you do this. I can't entirely recommend it because we've been over this. I don't fucking like that game. I was
about to say I think it's a good game. It's just a bad story. No, it's a bad game.
It's a bad game
because of the story.
Because of how bad the story is. Yeah. Yeah. It's a game that has no respect for the player's time.
It does not.
Which I think is really unfortunate. I think it could have been a great game if not for that. But they decided to stretch it. Look, again, we've talked about this. I've been talking about how much I don't fucking like Bravely Default on this show for like 8 years now. That being said, the job system rips. So if you just want to experience like a fun job system that lets you match up and cross-pollinate skills and that sort of thing, the Bravely Default games are really good at that. That being said, fuck that game.
Yeah, if you really like it, congratulations. You get to do it all over.
Johnny says, happy WrestleMania week to you and yours. Obvious question, but who do you got? And there's 12 matches that we know about so far. Micah, let's go bottom up. 6-team ladder match, tag team insanity match.
I feel like it's time to get those titles off of the Judgment Day. You know what? Let's say DIY. DIY needs to do something. And I don't know if getting the belts is going to help them, but let's just say DIY. I have no idea.
I'm going to go New Day for this one. So
see, I want to go New Day, but like, come on, man. Like, I get it, but come on.
LA Knight, AJ Styles. I got LA Knight going over in this one.
Yeah, I think LA Knight has to go over on this in this match, and I think AJ can. I think AJ can take a loss because he's AJ Styles and he's huge.
Jimmy versus Jay.
Oh wait, the Uso brothers?
Yeah, they're fighting each other.
Oh no!
Each other. in a really, really poorly told story. To the point
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to watch WrestleMania. Like, I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to do it.
It should be good.
You should. Who you got? I think I'm going to assume this is night one. I think the heels take night one.
You think so? I think Jay's got this running away.
It's streaming on. Okay, I have Peacock.
It's on Peacock.
I'll probably watch this.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Oh, you should watch.
Remember,
it
two
then.
nights.
2 nights. So look,
2
here's the
nights,
thing.
yeah.
All right, look, I got a gig. I'm not going to be able to catch it on Sunday, but I'll be able to watch on Saturday.
United States triple threat match: Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, Logan Paul.
I just hope Logan Paul gets his shit kicked in.
Logan,
I don't care.
Logan Paul will get his shit kicked in, but he'll also probably retain.
Yeah, he'll probably retain through the fight that his brother has with Mike Tyson, right? Because you better believe the WWE wants Logan Paul to come in with their belt, right? And then they can spin that into, and the WWE's coming to Netflix in 2025. Right? Like, yeah, that's what that is.
Gunther versus Sami Zayn. It's got to be Sami, right?
I think it's Sammy. I want Gunther to win.
Yeah.
I want him to win because I think I want someone else to kind of be made.
See, I think you have Sami beat him here, and then Gunther marches towards SummerSlam to take on Cody Rhodes. I think that's
but Gunther is a credible threat, like a real credible threat. Like I'm not saying I want Cody to have a long title reign. I don't. I feel like Cody could lose this at like the Royal Rumble. But I don't know if you build something but I do want to see that match. So I don't know. I want Gunther to win. I feel like Sam is going to win.
And then the tag team match: Rock and Roman versus Cody and Seth Rollins. Like the heels have to win this to build the drama for the next night, right? Okay, just making sure we're on the same page there. Night 2, Dom and Santos Escobar versus Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee. Even though
it's a tag match, I thought it was just a rematch.
No, it's a tag match. It's a tag match.
Okay.
I feel like Dom really should win here because he did the job last year. I think that he should go over on his dad this year. So
yeah, I feel like I feel like Dom should win. I am, and for the reason that you laid out. You need Dom to this night will be Judgment Night, right? Like this will be Judgment Day's night. Spoiler alert for my next pick.
Okay, well then there you go. Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. Highly anticipated match, I have to say. Like I didn't realize that that this really hadn't happened before that I can recall. So
yeah,
you think Rhea's going over, huh? That's interesting. Okay,
I do. I think Rhea's going over because Rhea hasn't really had a real match. Like she hasn't had a really classic title defense. In my opinion, I think she's kind of she's super talented, right? She's super talented, and what I'm about to say is not to take away from her talent, but she's kind of gotten over as a goth thirst trap, and I feel like we need to reestablish why Rhea Ripley is so fucking scary, right? Like everybody, oh mommy, ooh mommy, right? Like I get it, right? I get it. Like, put your ass in my face, right? Like, I get it, Shayna. I get it. Same. But we also need to reestablish that, like, she's telling the Judgment Day what to do. She's got to go out there and do it. You know what I mean? And I think Becky could use a break, quite honestly. I feel like Becky could go away for a while and take a break.
Black Excellence versus Damage Control.
Look, I'm rooting for Team Bad. It doesn't make sense, right? Seeing there's how these three women are just kind of thrown together, whereas Damage Control are supposedly a unit. So you would think that Damage Control would win, but they're not because it's like these three Adonises, these three Amazons taking on school children. Like,
I mean, there's no way Jade Cargill is not winning her first match.
Right, I agree.
Especially at WrestleMania,
especially with all of this talent kind of there to hide, to mask any ring rust or she got a lot of people around her to make her look good.
Seth versus DM Hunk. Who you got in the world title match?
It's got to be Drew, right?
It's got to be Drew. Yes, I agree.
think Drew deserves it. I think Drew is. I love this Drew. This Drew is amazing. This asshole, this troll, is amazing. Do you think that shenanigans are going to happen in this match, resulting in Damian Priest trying to cash in? I hope not.
I'll hold my tongue on that for a second here. Bailey versus Io Sky.
It's Bailey, right?
I think so. I think so. I think that makes sense. And then finally, the undisputed championship, Cody versus Roman. Who do you have?
Cody with shenanigans. Everybody's anticipating the Avengers style moment where, for whatever reason, like if I was booking it, I would overbook the shit out of this. And the guys will be injured from the match, but the bloodline will come in and systematically, just dismantle Cody Rhodes, and Cody will come up and he'll be all, Roman and the bloodline will be in the ring, and they're like, look, he ain't here. He got a forfeit if he don't come out here in 10 seconds, right? And you get the crowd chanting and shit, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Wrestling has more than one royal family. And then he's limping out. He's limping out like Captain America and shit. And then he fucking puts the weight belt on, and he tightens the weight belt like Cap fucking puts his arm back in its place when he's holding that broken shield. And then all of a sudden, you get all the everybody else. This is going to be the longest fight. This is going to be a 25-minute entrance for everybody to come out. And then, he says some shit like, what do you want to talk about? And then just like fucking charges in, and everybody takes out everybody else. I say all that to say that I think Cody Rhodes is going to win.
I think that there's a lot of interesting storytelling you could do with this. I think like the speculation that the Rock is secretly working to undermine Roman Reigns, I think went off the table last week when he beat the shit out of Cody Rhodes in a parking lot. So I don't,
unless he's working to undermine Roman Reigns for his own nefarious purposes, right?
Yes.
Like it wouldn't make sense for him to be helping Cody while he's like bathing in his blood. You know what I mean?
I could see a Seth Rollins heel turn here, though, but ultimately, I think the guy that walks away with the title is Damian Priest.
My God.
Like I think Cody wins, but I think he gets cashed in on like immediately, and somehow the night ends with Damian Priest as world champion, which would be incredible.
I mean,
look, if you want to tune him up as like a mega heel, I can think of no better way to do it.
I mean, that's it. And then you better get the fuck out of there, because like I know people from all over the world come to WrestleMania, but it's still Philadelphia, and I think they hand out D batteries at the turnstiles. So you better fucking run.
They'll be WrestleMania branded D batteries. It'll be great.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll be prime bottle. They'll be prime bottle D batteries with a WWE logo on the bottom of them. And yeah, you better haul ass.
Jesus
oh my
Christ.
goodness. And that ties nicely into Cam's question. Are you letting a man smear your blood on a weightlifting belt and then whip you with it? Look,
man,
he did promise. That segment was cool as shit, just because it felt like a throwback segment to me.
Yeah, man, it was dope. But the hypochondriac to me is like blood. Like I'm not letting another man's blood touch me. I'm not doing it. It's just odd to me. I can never be a professional wrestler. I'm just like, hey, let's just bleed and then just get all and just intermingle all of our plasma together. No, thank you.
Ramarius asked, what was a game that started off for you but later on had you hooked? It's always going to be Monster Hunter Rise for me. Like that's the one that I can always turn to with this.
I don't know if I have an answer because if a game starts off pretty bad, I usually don't give it the time of day. I'll be like, well, that's 60 or $70 wasted. Or more than likely it'll be like 25 because it'll be some indie title. And I'm just like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's hard to push through that first wall. Like if you're not feeling it right away.
Yeah.
I can understand that why a lot of people would jump off because, like you said, time is the one thing you invest that you cannot recoup. So,
maybe like No Man's Sky or something like that. I ended up putting a lot of time into that game. Like, it's been a few years since I played it, but I put like 90 hours into that game. And that was when we're like, at first I was like, and then I got into like the core gameplay loop and I'm like, nah, this makes the good brain chemicals happen. So
Mark asks, why aren't more gaming company executives being tossed out of windows rather than those below them being laid off? I mean, sure, there's the whole murder is a crime thing, but still, their decisions lead to all the fuck ups, yet they seem bulletproof. We need to bring the stocks back to city centers. Look, I can fix that sentence for you. Just cross off the gaming and just say, why aren't more company executives being tossed out of windows? We talk about this all the time in the show about how it's
called capitalism.
Capitalism. That's right. Where the CEOs are indeed bulletproof because their bosses are the board, and the board's happy as long as the stockholders are happy. And if the stockholders are making money, they don't really give a shit what happens. That gets the sausage made, essentially. He also says, am I too contrarian where the more aughts was pushed on me as a suitor in Pentiment, the more times I picked the choices where I told him to fuck off? Did you watch Carrie, did you watch that No-Clip documentary that came out on the making of Pentiment?
No.
You should. It's very good.
I don't know. I had kind of a soft spot for him. And I ended up being like, you can write me a letter sometime.
Apparently, when they first designed the game, they did not want to make aughts romanceable, and then eventually someone talked Josh Sawyer into making him an option for your character. So,
I mean, and at the end of the day, he's still just an option, right? You have to pick certain dialogue choices. I think it's nice that it's an option. I was kind of charmed by his efforts. They seemed very sincere, He's written well. But I understand just being like, can you fuck off? Like, I get that because I have been that way with men in real life. So I understand the desire to be like that with him. But I don't know. I thought he was kind of charming. So
his character reminded me of Daniel. What's the fuck is his last name? The German guy that was Baron Zemo. Micah, help me out. Daniel Bruhl, I think it was.
Yes.
It reminds me of his character in Inglourious Bastards. Basically, is who that reminded me of.
That's fair. Yep. Yeah.
And then finally, T-Wash asked, which villain are you surprised to see people agree with? For him, it is Senator Armstrong from Metal Gear Rising Revengeance.
Nanomachine, son. Fucking wild.
I would imagine there are some hardcore right-wing Mass Effect players that are like, the elusive man was right, actually.
I mean, people agreeing with Big Boss is definitely one, like, to keep it in the Metal Gear family. People were like, Big Boss had a point, and I'm like, did he?
Those people, as Jay likes to say, are people who happen to know the age of consent in every state just off the top of their head.
Yeah, you're right. Yikes. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, not Big Boss, but maybe the boss, but not Big Boss, right?
But that wouldn't be surprising, right? Like, it wouldn't be surprised, like, especially the way her story ends, you wouldn't be surprised that people would understand why she did what she did.
Oh, is that the question? Like,
yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, like someone who's an asshole that people are like, no, he made some good points actually. Like,
Right.
did he though?
That's the thing, right? Like,
I think there's a lot of Sephiroth simps out there that are they'll stand his reasoning for doing what he did because they're silly and dumb.
They even expand upon that they don't expand upon it, but it's told better.
Mm-hmm.
His descent into madness, it's told better. And it still doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, it just does. Like it doesn't. Like it really doesn't. And Sephiroth is not someone to. He's not cool, yo. Like he's not. He's a big sword. That's literally it. That's literally the thing the reason why.
Anime boy hot. Like that's
right.
That's it, right? That's why people.
That's it. Because he wears a coat and no shirt. He's got a long sword
and long hair.
Right. Like that's why everyone loves him, because he is the ultimate character that you can like.
He's a rule of cool character.
Like he's got feminine features, right? Stereotypically feminine features, right? Like long hair or whatever. Mm-hmm. He's got a giant phallic symbol, right? Like, but like I see why he appeals to males and females assigned at birth. Am I saying all this stuff correctly, Carrie? Because I'm trying not to be.
Mike is not trying to get canceled after returning.
I'm not trying to be. I'm genuinely trying to be inclusive and all that. But you
just say men and women, dude. That's fine. For guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Like,
all right.
That's my usual go-to.
All right.
When I gotta like address an audience.
I'm not trying to be a dickhead, but like, Sephiroth appeals to all of it.
Yes.
All right.
Sephiroth does have a universal appeal.
Not to me.
I don't have any other villains.
Well, that's as good a place as any to wrap it up. Thank you all very much for your questions that you sent in. Again, that's denspixels.com/fans to get in on the Discord. Don't forget to subscribe to us wherever you download podcasts, or even on YouTube, where you can subscribe to the show. We put out video format every week. And again, Dense Pixels Premium, denspixels.com/premium, just $5 a month, $50 for a year, for the whole year. Hopefully looking to record a new episode of the Men with the Golden Tongues very soon, on the most recent Mission Impossible movie, which I finally got around to seeing a couple days ago. So
God, I'm gonna have to rewatch that.
Do you though? Or do you maybe just need to read a plot synopsis to read?
That's a really good idea. That's a really good idea.
Because that's a lot of time to commit to a rewatch of that film. So that is it for us this week. Thank you all very much for watching and listening. We'll see you all the next time.
See ya.
See ya.
You're watching the Dense Pixels YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button while you're here, and make sure you check out our weekly podcast where we discuss the latest gaming news and our impressions on what games we've been playing.